Kyle Williams, that played for the 49ers, 2011 NFC Championship, couple of muff punts, caused the 49ers to lose, Giants to win, advance to the Super Bowl where they wanted. This is a different Kyle Williams, obviously, Washington State receiver, projected to go in round 4 or 5, but you have him at number 2. What did you see in this Kyle Williams that has you putting him so high in your ranking?
Yeah, he's a game changer. That's the big thing. Another one I will tell you, I will be shocked, right? This will, as offensive coordinators and head coaches start to watch the receivers, they're going to go, wait, who's the guy from Washington State that has a rocket up his ass that gets open against everybody, and every time he touches the ball, he could go to the house, right? It's not complicated here. This is not like, and you see this is Cam Ward from 2 years ago. He runs by people, he catches slants and breaks people's ankles or outruns them for 80-yard touchdown passes. He does all of that. I would say his route running is right up there with Travis Hunter, and where I'd say he's maybe even a little different than Travis Hunter, again, too, Mike, is he does have 80 yards to the house type speed, right? Might not be quite as good the route runner Travis Hunter is, but it's damn close. And with the ball in his hand, just like Travis Hunter, this guy's my clear number 2, even though he's in tier 2. Nobody tackles him. The first guy never tackles him. He's really good that way. I think this, and he's a weapon. This is a guy that I look at, and I think you look in the NFL right now, they're starting to thrive. They can get the ball inside, outside, reverses, speed sweeps, whatever else, and that's where he is special, right? I don't think this is a top 15 or 20 pick. I think Travis Hunter's the only receiver that's going in the top 15-ish, if you have to ask me. Then we start to get into the late teens and 20s. I think we'll start to see receivers go then. I think Kyle Williams is in the class of the top receivers in the draft. There's no question. It's just production, Mike. Washington State, they didn't have a great quarterback play this year. They can't always get him the ball the way maybe some of the other top receivers, but damn, there's plenty there to see that he's a special football player.
And you made a comment as to both of these guys that I want you to elaborate on a little bit, because people are going to have this question. You've said that the coaches and the offensive coordinators are just getting into it now, but where are the scouts? Why aren't the scouts seeing these things?
Well, the scouts, they do, but they're like, at sometimes scouts are scouts because it's I don't want to discredit it, but a little bit is just like, hey, he's fast, he does this, he's really good, he's worthy of being in the NFL and being a starter, right? Sometimes they have so many guys they have to worry about, they can't dive into every little nuance, right? They do a lot of the dirty work to make it a little bit more clean and concise for the head coaches. And even within the scouts, Mike, I think a lot of scouts are probably onto these type of things we're talking about. Who is setting the narrative in a lot of these times in these things we're talking about? It's the media. It's the draft pundits. It's why we see certain draft pundits go, 4 days before the draft, I have a riser. He was number 67 on my board, and now he's risen up to 25. I watched the film one more time, and now he's 50 spots better than he was before. No, you just talked to somebody who clued you in finally. So some of the people that set the narrative on this stuff too, I just want to go, they're wrong and at times. And that's what I would say to that. So there's a little bit of everything there, Mike.
You're absolutely right. There are no risers and fallers at this point. It's the media finally catching up to what the team truly thinks.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That happens over the final month. All right, let's take a break. More of Chris's 2025 receiver draft rankings next year on PFT Live. More draft rankings. We've made it through the first 2. The next 2 are also on the second tier. We interviewed this guy at the Scouting Combine, Tetairoa McMillan.
Yeah.
He is a projected top 10 pick. You have him at number 3. Why is he where he is?
All right, and I don't know. I've seen a lot of mock drafts where he's not in the top 10, right? Who's the king of drafting and doing all of that stuff? Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper, I think, has him being drafted in the 20s. I don't think he goes in the top 10 here. He's really good. He really is. He's not my cup of tea, right? This is your bigger guy that doesn't always separate. That's what we're talking about here, Mike. And that's the guy that I usually am not in love with. That's why I put Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. over Marvin Harrison Jr. last year. But the size is real. A lot of people compare him to Drake London, right? Who was a top 10 pick for the Atlanta Falcons. But my argument would be Drake London hasn't really looked like a top 10 pick, in my opinion, and maybe he was overdrafted. That's what I would say to that. Also, on top of that, though, hey, the size is real here. This is some of the best hands you're going to find. Jump balls, 50-50 balls, whatever. This is a guy that's as good as it gets in that department. And for a bigger guy, he does really run routes well, right? Can really stick his foot in the ground and make sharp cuts for a guy that's 6'4", basically 220 pounds. Now, like some of the separation stuff, yeah, exploding off the line of scrimmage and always getting away from people, no, that's not always going to happen, right? Yards after the catch, it's good, but you're not going to be like, oh, wow, this is sexy. If he catches the ball on a full sprint and moving, he's long, and when he's hitting full speed, he can cover a lot of ground. But if he catches a ball over the middle in a dead stop, Mike, he's not going to do anything after it. If he does, oh, wait, I'm here, boom. No, he's going to get tackled right there, right? So, there's a lot of good here, and the size is real, and size is a skill, and he's a good route runner. And I do think he can play the slot, too, because of his route running ability. I got him as number 3 because, yeah, there is an explosive element that he lacks, in my opinion, to a degree, but certainly a first-round pick and probably one of the safer picks in all of the draft as far as the receiver position is concerned.
It's funny you mentioned the mock drafts being all over the place. There are so many mock drafts now. I don't know whether anyone actually pays attention to any of them. I know I don't. It's just noise.
I use it as gauge. Right.
Well,
just a gauge.
And I think to a certain extent, and the problem is certain of the mock draft creators can be manipulated by agents, by teams.
100.
There are agendas that factor into this, and then that becomes part of the narrative. It becomes part of the fabric. That's another reason why there are risers and fallers. It's not just that media is catching up to what the teams really think. It's media realizing they've been fed bullshit for weeks about a certain guy just so his name's out there. There's so many different competing agendas and nefarious intent that goes into it. To me, it's just noise. And even the best of the best are subject to it as well. Mel Kiper can be influenced by his relationships. We all are. That's what makes this an incredibly inexact gauge of what's going on and who the best players truly are.
Well, that's why I hope people listen to me and watch me, because you can't influence me. I am uninfluenceable, all right? I don't know if that's a word, but we're going with it.
I think that works.
Okay.
And it has all the syllables.
Right.
With not too many and not too few. All right, Jaylin Noel, Iowa State receiver. He is the last guy on your second tier. What stood out to you when you watched his film?
Well, elite explosiveness, acceleration, speed, quickness, right? He's another one of these guys, a little bit like the first two, maybe not quite as good, right, as a Travis Hunter or the Kyle Williams. But along those lines, I don't know maybe if he has quite the outside value those guys do, but it's 5'10", it's 195, it's 4.39 speed, it's a 1.5, 110, which tells you he's got 3 rockets up his ass when he gets off the ball to attack downfield. That's what I like, right? He might not be as loose in the hips as those top 2 guys that I talked about to make him a top-tier route runner as far as they're concerned, but his quickness and his ability to, for lack of getting into scouty talk, the jitterbug aspect, right, Mike? You see those slot receivers that kind of come off the ball, and then they just do that and go zoom, and they go out or in, right? He's incredible like that. He's as twitchy as you're going to find. Let alone he is a guy, again, with his strength and stuff, that he can run by people. He catches a shallow cross or a slant on the run, watch out. Things are going to happen. He can't make people miss like Kyle Williams and Travis Hunter. He can't weave through traffic quite the same. It's a little bit more break down and then cut again that way, where Travis Hunter and Kyle Williams can kind of just at full speed just stick their foot in the ground and weave through traffic and never break stride. That's why he's not in their class, but damn, this guy is really, really good. Another guy that I would say is going to be a weapon and can be 100 reception a year type of guy because of the ability to run routes and his pure explosive ability.
Every time you use that phrase, rocket up a guy's ass, and I know that that's what coaches and scouts say to describe incredible speed. I have this image of guy with like the stereotypical cartoon rocket with the long stick on the
That's
back.
what I think
Not
of.
just the rocket, but the stick as well to guide the rocket.
And I don't know if that's really a technical scouting term. That I think is pretty much from the Chris Sims word of vocabulary. Rocket up the ass.
No,
You know some people that talk that way?
I heard Steve Keim. Steve Keim said it about Tavon Austin at the scouting combine years ago. He got a rocket up his ass.
All right. That's good to hear. I like it. It's good. It accentuates the point, as we know. This receiving class, maybe not quite the high-end guys we've had in the past, right? I will say that. But when you talk about depth and a lot of good, I mean, Mike, there's like 15 receivers, at least 16, 17, that I go, man, I really like this guy. Like, he's going to play. He's going to start. When they're in a 3-receiver set, he's going to play. That's the beauty of this class right here. And I think some of these under-the-radar guys, like my Jaylin Noel or my Kyle Williams, are going to creep up into this conversation where people are going to go, well, wait, these guys are more physically gifted than the guy at Texas or Ohio State, but what, we just ranked them higher because we saw them in the college football playoff and they have cooler uniforms and a helmet decal that we're just a little more comfortable with to say guys are good from there? I think as we go here, you're going to start to see some of these under-radar guys get right up there with some of the guys that we've been fed as the top receivers in the draft.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.